Let's start with what's quite a striking chart, just showing you economic activity in the manufacturing sector in China. And here you have the biggest plunge that we've seen in this index. It's a measure of just how much activity is going on in the manufacturing sector. Anything above the line is expansion, anything below is contraction. Just look at how much it plunged, even more as a result of COVID-19 and the shutdowns we've seen in China than at any point going back to the financial crisis. Worse, in fact, than many months of the financial crisis. And the upshot of this is that there have been some very visible impacts on China. The shutdown of factories, actually, if you look at these pictures showing you pollution around China, so there you have Wuhan and there you've got Hong Kong, and you can see pollution around China in January, and just look at what happened in February, a complete disappearance of pollution around these areas. And economists are putting that down to the shutdown in many factories around China. So good in terms of air pollution, but in terms of economic activity, well, there's the concern. And the OECD, which is a big organisation which looks at these things, is talking about enormous falls in Chinese GDP as a result of these shutdowns. That's the concern. If you're doing containment, whatever the virulence of the disease, you're shutting down economic activity. And in China, they say there's going to be potentially 1.4% fall in GDP there compared with what they were previously expecting. Similar in America. And the distinction here is between what they think is likely, that's actually their best case scenario, and what they think could happen if the disease isn't contained elsewhere. Look at North America. Small projection if things stay contained. If they don't, you've got a big fall, a very big fall indeed. And over here in Europe, and obviously this includes the UK as well, the expectation is only a small fall in GDP. But if the disease is not contained, by the way, this is their best case scenario, relatively small, if the disease is not contained, then essentially you've got recessions all across Europe, including in the UK. And that's something that's going to concern Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, with his budget just coming up. Worth just finishing on this. This shows you, this is every single week in changes in the FTSE 100. It's the index of shares in London, in the UK. And it goes back to 1984. This shows you every single week. And just look at the biggest falls that we've seen over this period. 1987, Black Monday, an enormous fall there. Financial crisis there as well. There's lines going down there. But look at this. 2020, coronavirus, COVID-19, that is the third biggest weekly fall that we've seen since this index was created. So an extraordinary fall. The good news is the FTSE has recovered today, so we have seen it get back some of that ground, but not really all that much. So big concerns there about markets and indeed the global economy.